Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you Game 3 of a best of 3 between Icarus and Per Kiilstofte in the semi-finals of the WARNO League Super Tournament run by the Simulated Divisions League. Today they are playing on Airport Duel, and on our left in the blue team we have Icarus playing with the 82nd US Airborne, and on our right in the red team we have Per Kiilstofte playing with the 2nd UK Infantry. So to me this is an incredibly interesting matchup. Kiilstofte back on the 2nd UK really didn't have very good success with it against Icarus in the first game, because Icarus used Territorial Commando Sud fantastically well to take him out very quickly indeed. So interesting to see Kiilstofte fall back to the 2nd UK for this one. Meanwhile, on the side of Icarus, he has chosen the 82nd Airborne, which has a very similar style to the 11th Parachutiste, which he actually lost with in Game 2. So I'm curious how this matchup's going to go. And honestly, it could be an absolutely fantastic game. So definitely strap in for this one. Let's have a quick look at what's going down. On the left side, Icarus with the Airborne Dragon and an LAV. Another LAV on the back there for Icarus, as well as plenty of airborne units further up, including multiple Stingers, and of course the Command Humvees. Another Command Humvee on the bottom side with 2 more Stingers and an Airborne Dragon, and an Airborne for Icarus down there. On the right side for Kiilstofte, he is going to be starting with 4 SAS, 5 SAS at the start of this one, 3 Airmobile Scouts, a Sniper, a Fox, 6 Gazelle AH1s, the Lynx AH7, the Warrior Milan, and the L6 Wombat on the bottom side with the Rover Command. So the command's just going to be capturing Papa, which is the 2-pointer. Then it looks like he's going to be driving all the way up to go and capture Bravo. These initial opening engagements are going to be very important, as both sides are relying heavily on their forward deployment, which is kind of typical of Airport Duel. You generally want to invest into a forward deployed division because it's really, really far away from the reinforcements, this map. It's a very, very deep map, so you have to wait a while if you get behind, and that can be absolutely disastrous. But early on, the Gazelle AH1s getting their rockets on target, but so are the Stingers, as we already see the Lynx AH7 Hellarm go down on the top side. The Harrier GR3 falling out of the sky. 2 Gazelle AH1s have been cleaned up. But Icarus, he lost his airborne fire team in the open. The airborne unit here, which is 70 points of infantry, are slowly getting taken out by the Fox. F3 and Phantom 2 having a dance. 2 Phantoms up against one another. I did just want to say that for those of you who don't like NATO versus NATO, that's fair enough, but just think of it as wargaming. You know, these are 2 NATO factions that are fighting against each other to practice for a World War III or something like that. Anyway, LAV currently chewing up those SAS very quickly. They didn't manage to get out of there. I was somewhat expecting the SAS to try and reload or themselves into the Saxons as quickly as possible, but they didn't manage to. And now the 2nd unit of SAS here might fall down as well, and if it does, both of these SAS are 100 points. The Harrier GR3 is another 150 points. The Gazelle rockets, they're 20 points apiece, and the Lynx AH7 is also, you know, 60, 70 points or something like that. So yeah, Kiilstofte losing quite a lot of units here early on. That being said, Icarus's Stingers are being ran down. So the Stinger on the top side going to be taken out by the Saxon, I imagine. The Fox has managed to creep around into the back line here, which could be a problem for Icarus's reinforcements. The Harrier GR3 coming in for the kill onto the LAV and does manage to take it out, but that's a 100-point unit for a 150-point plane. Not sure it's entirely worth it, especially since he was already at a bit of a deficit in kills. But if Icarus continues to come under pressure here, well, he's going to be in for a bad time. The big problem that Icarus is having here is that Commie-Hucht, he's invested into SAS. And SAS, they come with the Stingers as part of the squad, whereas Icarus is having to invest into the Stinger squad separately for the 45 points. And that means that these SAS can just run them down, whilst also providing the same support as a Stinger squad would. All the Saxons have been taken out here. Icarus has actually cleaned this up quite nicely with the help of the LAV. The Saxon, however, does take out the Stinger, and the Fox is moving up here to try and attack the backside of the sector. Icarus is trying to get that Cobra into position, but the SAS already hit the mark. We just saw a Gazelle AH-1 go down here as well. I imagine to the LAV, that Bushmaster, very good at taking down helicopters at close range. The SAS was allowed to kill off the AH-1F Cobra, and now we have an air engagement as the F-16 comes in, blows up the Fox. The Harrier GR3 gets a kill onto the LAV. The Phantom F3 chasing down the F-16, but straight into an Eagle. Oh no, disaster for the Phantom F3 as the Eagle shows him who's boss. The Harrier GR3 running for its life. The Eagle ran out of missiles. Harrier lives to fight another day. What a lucky boy. That could have been absolutely devastating. But Icarus investing in the Eagle early on is actually quite nice, as it will shut down a lot of the potential airplay from Commie-Hucht. But the SAS with the shock trait finish off the Airborne Dragon. Armoured rifles also helping support here. Did lose his warrior. But yeah, both the LAV and the Airborne Dragon on the top side are now cleaned up. So both players somewhat securing their side of the airfield. Icarus looking very light on the ground. I guess so is Commie-Hucht, really. You know, his SAS and Airmobile Scouts are the only thing on the bottom side. He's got the L61 back there. He's got one single armoured rifle just making a push across the airfield with the Warrior Milan. And 3 units of infantry on the top side. Whereas Icarus, he's kind of in the same boat. He's got maybe total 4 or 5 full strength squads of infantry that he can use. So no player's really able to make a significant push at the moment. They're going to have to really build up their forces before they try anything else. So Pro Commie-Hucht here just sort of pinging these buildings so that he can keep an eye on them whilst he's trying to set things up. It looks like he's brought in the 155mm artillery here to fire away at the airfield. So they're going to be engaging those infantry. He's looking to probably try and finish off the single airborne man on his own so that that unit can't be replenished in the future. But Rapier FSB coming into position. The F-16 is back on the field, looking for the kill onto a Warrior Milan. Simple kill for the F-16 there. 45-point APC taken out nicely. Warrior Milan's now coming in though with these Radans. Will provide nice fire support onto any of these infantry engagements, but the LAV making short work of the armoured rifles on their own. You also see the artillery landing now, but not really doing too much. I think Icarus could have a bad time here as these sort of engagements continue. Now relying on the Humvees with tows. Do manage to take out the warrior with those. But this is somewhat kind of falling back to the same style that he had with the 11th, where he's going to be utilizing sort of jeep-mounted HGMs to hold the range engagement. The trouble is with that, as soon as Commie-Hucht starts using cover to get close, these sorts of units can get ripped up very, very fast indeed. So Gazelle AH-1s getting their rockets on target of the airborne. F-15 coming over, actually gets taken out but does kill the Phantom F3. What a trade. I think Commie-Hucht will be happy with that. The Rapier FSB hitting the F-15 and the F3 traded for that. So that would be a really nice trade to get those Eagles out the sky early on. The F-16 just about finished off the Milan here, the Warrior. SAS again. Oh, nice. That is a beautiful laser guided bomb there from this F-16. So it's easily got 2 of these ready to go now. And taking out SAS, that's 100 points each. Really, really good kills. The Commie-Huck's push here has been somewhat broken down, but the Warrior Milans are going to continue to come forwards. Airborne Dragon with the Dragon 2, not quite able to hit the mark. Here comes Harrier GR3s once again. And the Harrier GR3s are actually very dangerous in this situation because a lot of the Stingers have been killed off. And he manages to rip up both of those airborne fire teams with Dragons. And the Stinger misses its shot. So both of those will get reloaded nice and quick. The Warrior Milan looking for the M35 supply. Finds that before it can fully reinforce the airborne squad back here. Those airborne also taken out, but a little bit of friendly fire there from the Gazelles. Commie-Huck finding better trades over time. That's for sure. Now, the initial opener there was very, very sketchy for Commie-Huck, and if Icarus had a division that had more sort of ground-based fire support, then he probably could have taken advantage of that and got into Commie-Huck's sector here in the airfield. But because he was reliant mostly on infantry, he was kind of held at range, and that's been a problem so far, because Commie is continuously using these Gazelle AH-1s with rockets. He's got the Warrior Milans that are going to constantly be coming in with 30 mils, whilst Icarus, he's kind of limited to the number of LAVs that he's got up his sleeve, which is why diving Harrier GR3 for that is potentially worth it. F-16 not getting close this time around as the Phantom F3 with its Skyflash manages to hit the mark. Yeah, this is what I was talking about with these 30 mils. Those airborne can't sit in place and take that. Another nice thing here is Commie-Huck actually going to be using Airmobile in the Lynx AH-1 with rockets. Air-based reinforcements, like in helicopters, are really, really nice on a map like this because your reinforcement point is so far back on both sides. And bringing in helicopter reinforcements is a really good way to up the tempo in this sort of matchup. At 155, almost friendly firing the armoured rifles hasn't really been too effective so far. But here comes the Harrier once again, this time looking for the LAV and the Kiowa follow-up. Because it didn't kill the LAV with that rocket run, it didn't go for the strafe on the Kiowa, so that was actually kind of bad for Commie-Huck there. And we see a Phantom 3 go down, as well as the Harrier GR3. That's rough. The LAV survived, and the Kiowa didn't even take any damage, so real bad times. Looks like Icarus did lose a Phantom 2 amongst that, but we'll be happy with those trades. That being said, things are not going too great on the ground. The armoured rifles, their value starting to really come into effect. And these are 45-point infantry with 45-point APCs, whilst Icarus, he's investing 80 points into like a single infantry unit without the APC fire support. And whilst the Dragon 2s can kill these warriors pretty easily, if the stuns come through, these airborne dragons, yeah, they're going to go down regardless. And the other thing about these airborne dragons is they're going to have to kill 2 warriors if they want to be efficient. That's all their warrior and the armoured rifle. The rover is going to dodge this. The dragon running out of range, crashing into the ground there. One really cool thing about WARNO is if a missile ever loses track, it's still an entity until it basically crashes into the ground. So you can get these really wild scenarios. But that is a beautiful rocket strike onto the airborne dragons as they come in. Took out both of the Humvees, did some serious damage to one of the airborne dragon units there. The other 2 airborne units seem to be relatively okay, but here comes another Harrier GR3. Oh, that's more like it. That's what we like to see. That was incredible. Harrier GR3 with a bombing strike afterwards. The Harrier GR3 Rocket 1 rocketed the infantry, threw 2 rockets into the LAV to finish it off, and then shot down the Kiowa in one run. That was beautiful. All 3 of these infantry squads now taken out as well. Komiuk there. He looks like he kind of sacrificed like another one of his aircraft, right? But I think he's just trying to get himself into a really good position here. The Apache is actually now in position from Icarus. You can see he's used the change elevation in order to make that hide behind the tree line. The Javelin forcing him to do that. Doesn't want to take damage for free. That being said, if this Apache were to commit right now, there isn't really much Komiuk could probably do about it. Because he could maybe invest in like the Harriers again, right? But I feel like he's bought most of them. So the Apache would most likely have a bit of a field day here with not really too much to contest. That as soon as this Javelin goes down, that Apache's got free reign. There's no other real threats behind. The FSB here has actually only got 1 missile left. And there goes the Rover CP. F-16 helps take out armoured rifles. Yeah, that's interesting. Komiuk, though, continuing to apply pressure, did manage to get himself back some points. This is an interesting move up here, though, from Icarus, sliding round the Humvee on the top side, looking for the cap onto Bravo. We'll probably get a free cap there, to be honest. Here comes the Apache, swinging out, looking for the Hellfire onto the Warrior Milan. Now, another interesting thing in this matchup is the Challenger 2s could actually be pretty decent, because the F-16s might struggle to kill the Challenger Mark 2s in one run, and therefore, like in the open, they're actually going to be relatively okay. And also, on the side of Icarus, he doesn't have like any of his own big tanks to kind of fight back. You would have to rely almost entirely on ATGMs, either from his helicopters or from tows on the ground. Oh, that is a nasty loss. The Humvee going down before it unloads. The airborne dragons. These are 80-point infantry killed for free. That is very bad. M35 going down on the bottom as well. This Milan too getting into a good position, but Komiuk making the same mistake as he loses an infantry squad for free. Both players showing that they are indeed immortal. Gazelle AH1 and the Lynx AH1 here with its rockets, trying to help the support onto the airborne dragons. Both of these airborne dragons push to low cohesion, so gonna be falling back, but the Apache noticing there's not too much threat. Moving up here. If he can kill that Javelin, the Apache can move up here and get its 30mm on target. He did just manage to take it out. I don't know if he could see that though. Regardless, I feel like Icarus is being somewhat too safe with this Apache, knowing all of the losses that Komiuk has been taking, particularly with the Harriers. Now, a lot of losses again for Komiuk, but he's continuing to push more and more units over and over again. Icarus has finally got the Humvee CP into this sector. He actually drove it like all the way around before doing that, which was interesting. The Lynx AH7 might look to kill that unit. Javelin dead, the L6 Wombat dead. The Apache's now moving up to engage the Challenger Mark II, with that smoking off, going for the Warrior Milan instead. The Hellfire actually ended up missing, but here goes the 30mm. So this 30mm, really nice fire support against infantry, especially over time, because they're getting more and more of accuracy. Sheridan taken out. 2 M551A Cavs there to try and get supporting shots onto that infantry, but not lasting. Now the tracked Rapier joining the Challenger Mark II to keep it alive against these helicopters. So the helicopters, yeah, were very much the key for a little while there, I feel. Harrier GR3 back in the sky. Harrier GR1, well, that's a HE1 hanging about. The Phantom F3 going down for free. Let's see the Cobra getting the rockets on target. AH-1F Cobras. Another fantastic solution for helping break down Commie-Huck's infantry. Will struggle to finish off the Warrior Milans, but that can always be done by the amount of dragons that Icarus has amongst his infantry. So Commie-Huck here, he's starting to build up like a wall of AA. He's got a second FSB coming in. He's just got 3 of these now. There's one on the bottom side of the airfield, one over here, and a new one coming in. The SAS are starting to make a little bit of a move on the bottom side. Is that a Saxon trying to kind of creep in the backside of the sector, see if there's anything there? 155's now firing away as well. But here come the helicopters once again. Sniper taken out. No man pads in sight, so it's really up to the Rapier FSB to hit the mark. Manages to hit the F-16 at least. The second one also hits the mark. And as I was saying earlier, the Challenger Mark II not going to get killed by the F-16 laser guided bomb. Manages to survive. The Harriers come in, take out both the Kiowa and the Apache. Devastating losses, and another F-16 going down there for Icarus. That is really, really rough. The investment into these FSBs instantly paying off there, with both the F-16 laser guided bombs going down, the Challenger surviving, the Harriers getting the kills and surviving. Really, really nasty for Icarus. And you might say that, well, that probably would have happened early on, but to be honest, I'm not sure that those Harriers were ready. Anyway, Icarus, his reinforcing airborne have arrived, and they're going to be storming this building. Hammerbell gun group doing a runner. Look how close this 155 is to the front line. Looking to get maximum accuracy. Warrior Milans sitting back for the time being, whilst Commie-Huck did manage to get quite a nice few trades there. It's not over yet for Icarus. The Harrier GR3 gets a good bomb onto one squad, but these 2 squads here could inflict a lot of damage if they're allowed to get into this building, because the airborne can maybe finish off their Rapier FSB. The airborne engineers at close range are going to be able to use their TNT. I think these are 2 Javelin squads, Hammerbell gun group. Yeah, that could be a real nasty loss here for Commie-Huck, but the Lynx AH-1 coming in to save the day with its rockets, and the airborne engineers absolutely torn apart. The 2 Javelins are going to survive, and what could have been an absolutely devastating attack gets turned on its head. Harrier GR3, meanwhile, on the top side, taking out the Humvee CP. Icarus managing to stay ahead in conquest points, but some of these trades starting to fall out of his favour. And once again, the airport falls apart. This map is always an absolute wreck after it, because you're always fighting across the open here, and it just it just ends up with wrecks all over it, especially in 10v10. So things have calmed down a little bit. Commie-Huck's actually managed to get his SAS quite far up. Let's see where these troops are going. Yeah, he's going to be starting to develop a position in these buildings so that maybe he can get a command into Zulu at some point, because pushing across the open towards the center here hasn't really been paying off so far. M102 105mm guns being used by the Americans. Try and harass some of the enemy infantry. I'd like to see him counter battery with those. He is going to do that. Should be pretty simple for him. Harrier GR3 actually bombing the Stinger. getting taken out soon after. Bit of a wild bombing strike, to be honest. Oh, the SAS dodging both of the shots from the Sheridans. That's very good. Those Sheridans do have fantastic HE on their main guns, so that SAS would have taken a nice chunk of damage. The 105's firing away, looking to try and finish off that gun. More Lynx AH-1s with rockets coming in. I'm surprised not to have seen any reinforcements from Icarus in like Black Hawks or Chinooks, because it would be much better to probably use them at this point so that he can get a bit more momentum to kind of push Commie-Huck out of position. But so far Commie-Huck's been doing that, and it's allowed him to keep up the momentum even when he's been falling behind. The Warrior Milan going down, Emabel under fire. Very infantry focused game, this one. Icarus's reinforcements aren't that slow, to be honest. I am talking about these helicopters obviously being faster, but he's still bringing them in with Humvees, I suppose, so it's not that slow. But oh, that is a beautiful couple kills from these AH-1s with rockets. Takes out 2 airborne units nice and quickly. Will not want to sacrifice that to the Stinger, because these Lynx AH-1s these days are not cheap. They were very cheap when they came out, but they are now 80 points apiece. Terriers, Pioneers. Close enough to use the Satchel. The Satchel doesn't do too much damage. And both of those airborne will clean them out. Saracen going down. Harrier GR3 coming in with the bombs, but did not drop them in time. So those 2 airborne units remaining alive. The other Jarrett Harrier retreating. Let's see, Warrior Milan again going down. This TOW2 has been doing a great job in that position. And since the 155 was counter-batteried on the airfield, and the other one further back is out of ammo, there's no reply. Usually as soon as you see either a Stinger fire or an HDGM fire, you'd just be targeting that building almost immediately with artillery. And we can see the Challenger Mark II and the Warrior Milan being used to support the engagement against the high-rise. Oh, that is a A-10 coming in and gets absolutely blasted out of the sky. It was a rocket variant. Didn't manage to get any real damage done. H1F getting lucky, not being hit by the elite Stinger here of Commie-Huck. Armored Rifles hoping to finish off the airborne. Fireteam Dragon taken out. It seems like Icarus at the moment has been consistently on the back foot, other than putting a cheeky command into the top side. Commie-Huck's position seems a lot safer. You know, he's way further away than his sectors than Icarus is, whereas Commie-Huck's always kind of in the edge of this sector, and he's starting to kind of creep around the bottom side here a bit as well and put pressure on the Zulu. So I think it's only a matter of time now until Commie-Huck can really start to try and contest this, and he is going to move in with the Rover CP. He's also got a Challenger Mark II on the way, which is going to be a lot harder for Icarus to deal with. Harrier GR3 does end up going down to the Stingers. The Stingers have been doing extremely well for Icarus throughout this game. Oh, nice kill there onto the Rapier FSB. Bit of a mistake really from Pro Commie-Huck to leave that out in the open. The Rover CP has managed to get in, and there's no command in here yet for Icarus. He's going to have to fast move the Humvee up. And the Humvee doesn't get hit by that HGM. But Airborne Dragon again being taken out. That's 2 Airborne Dragons going down there. The Lynx AH-1s, they're unleashing their rockets, instantly taking off again, firing away. The Rover CP in position. Challenger Mark II now also in position, and this will give Pro Commihawk a good chance to get back in this game, especially with Icarus losing another unit of infantry in the transport there. It's funny because in the first game I feel like Icarus's micro was really on point. In the second one it certainly wasn't as good. This time around he's even losing plenty of units in transports, and I feel like he's really under a lot of pressure here. Fox taken out. Does manage to kill one Humvee tow. Lynx AH-1 killed in reply by the Stingers. These Lynx AH-1s still putting the pain onto these airborne. The Rover CP no longer needs to be there with the Challenger Mark II in position. That being said, TOW 2 on the bottom side taking out Commihawk's armoured rifles. What do you get a second for free? Commihawk making the same mistakes. 2 Warrior Milans gone down with their armoured rifles. The TOW 2s of Icarus putting in a lot of work. So yeah, the Challenger Mark II. How does Icarus deal with this? Because he no longer has any F-16s with laser-guided bombs. Both of those are dead. Wow, another infantry dead in the Bedford. He can maybe try and harass it with artillery, which is what looks like he might try and do. He's going to kill off the Rover CP there in the open. The only other choice after that is really just ATGMs. And getting them into a line of sight of this Challenger is going to be very difficult. So, the Challenger Mark II, it's going to be a real sticky thing that he can't get rid of. Unless maybe airborne can actually get on top of them. But anytime these airborne are pushing forwards, the rockets come out from further back. And defensively, these helicopters are fantastic. Because it's going to force Icarus to move the Stinger up to basically here in order to try and have a go. Defensively, Commihawk's pretty safe with these rockets. I mean, so is Icarus, to be honest. But the issue being, the Challenger Mark II's already in a good position. That being said, the Humvee over here with the TOW 2 actually managing to get a shot on target. Harrier GR3 comes in with the strafing run onto the Apache, ends up getting taken out. Javelin's currently missing the mark, but it's only going to take one more for that Apache to go down, and that would be a significant kill for Commihawk. Takes out the Cobra instead, but that's a 240-point Apache, and down it goes as Commihawk brings up the FSB with the Bedfords, unloads it, finishes it off. So the helicopter support of Icarus dealt with does cost him the FSB. This TOW 2 still firing away. Oof. Big oof there as Icarus manages to get multiple HGMs on target. The Challenger Mark II down for the count. Supply taken out. Another Apache gone down? It is indeed. Icarus here losing his helicopters similar to the last game. Commihawk continuing the pressure on the ground. Finally, the artillery coming in for this TOW 2. I'm really surprised to see Commihawk kind of let the ATGMs kill off the Challenger there, because he could have easily kind of used the hangars as cover for his left side whilst he kind of moves forwards into range to kill off the TOW 2 Jeep there. Sniper having a go at the airborne in the open. Emmabill managed to take out the Stingers. So the Stingers going down is actually really bad for Icarus, because the Lynx AH-1s will have a lot more freedom if that's the case. But here comes the Chinooks with aero rifles. Finally, we're going to be seeing some helicopter reinforcements. And I'm hoping that this is not the last we see of them. You can probably, I think you can get like 2 cards of these in the 82nd. And if he could like land all of these, sell all the Chinooks, bring in another wave. He could basically sell all of these and bring in 5 next time. And he'll be in a really, really good position to just keep throwing infantry through this objective. The A-10 not getting anywhere close. Tracked Rapier ready to take that on. Interesting that Icarus is choosing to send these forwards. Uses the A-10 to take out the Rover CP. So he basically dived the Chinook so that he could spot the Rover CP, which is okay, but you probably don't need to do it with all of them. Now the A-10, well, the FSB is reloaded. Gonna be taking that out nice and easy. Chinooks don't have any weapons, so they can't even attack the Rapier FSB here. Not convinced about that play whatsoever. Dropping the aero rifles, pushing forwards, then bringing in the A-10 would probably make more sense than kind of suiciding 200 points worth of Chinooks into your enemy, which you can refund to buy better stuff. Yeah. As I said, I'm not convinced that that's the right play there. But Track Rapier does go down. Artillery's going to be harassing the Lynx AH-1s that were landed. But they are now full of rockets and ready to slam dunk some airborne. There goes one. And there goes two nearly. Challenger Mark II finding its way back into this sector. After the first went down, more Lynx AH-1s on the way, and as you can see, only 5 minutes left on the clock. Now, Pro Commie Hucked here, he is not in the lead. He needs to maintain the Challenger Mark II in this position if he wants a chance at winning this game. Meanwhile, Icarus, he is looking to get his Humvee into Commie Huck's opposing sector, but ends up driving straight into that Milan 2. Sheridan gets into position in time to stop the full cap. That would have ticked Commie Huck to few +2s. Aero rifles charging forwards once again. Stinger in position to force that back afterwards, but it had already used all of its rockets, and this is the big problem that Icarus is having, is that these Lynxes are getting so many free rockets on target. Just farming these infantry squads. This is real tough now for Icarus. It really does feel like he has run out of steam, and maybe that's why the Chinooks were sacrificed in the way that they were, because there was no reason to sell them, as he didn't really have much to buy in their place regardless. That could have very well been it. Things slowing down quite significantly, and artillery going to be depended on to take out the Challenger Mark II, which will take some time because these are only 105s. The TOW2's not getting on target of the Challenger Mark II that's supporting it. And, well, with the Sheridan not able to sit in position here, it's actually now a +2 for Commie Huck. And unless Icarus can stop this +2 before the end of the game, you will actually, I think, lose this one. It's incredibly close. Coming down to the wire here, both sides have been trading like crazy. Where is the Sheridan going? It's pushing all the way down to the bottom side to try and capture Papa. So I think Icarus realized that with the +1, Commie Huck would have had enough time to get in the lead points-wise. So what he's doing is he's going to try and basically fast move the Sheridan into the back cap to hold the sector long enough to get the job done. But obviously we can see that there's Airmobile, the SAS. Like, the Airmobile's going to hit this with the Law 80. And goodbye any hopes and dreams Icarus had of winning this best of 3. But what a best of 3 it has been. Fantastic game 9,410 kills to 8,160 losses. Both players putting everything on the field for this one. But Comihawk coming out on top. I feel like the way that Comihawk played was kind of very consistent throughout this series. Apart from the first game where I think he got caught off guard, after that he really started to respect Icarus's play and kind of worked to slowly break down his initial openers. Whereas Icarus, he kind of had the same problem in this game as he had in the second game, where he couldn't really take advantage of his open early deployment because he was up against another decent advanced deployment division. And then because the second UK has more like ground-based support, it's a lot easier to manage than the 82nd, which he had an opening there where he'd taken out the javelins, he'd taken out multiple Harriers, and if he'd really just then invested into a lot of helicopters, it was open for the taking. It's very easier said than done, because from his perspective, he won't be able to see what we can see, right? We have the benefit of 2020 hindsight and full map coverage the entire game, whereas he doesn't have that. But at the high level, you need to be able to identify the units that you're killing so that you know when you can take advantage. And unfortunately, I think Icarus was lacking a little bit of that in this one. But regardless, both of these guys, fantastic players, did a fantastic job. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. And I will see you guys in the final, where we're going to have Comihawk going up against Yukipor. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Goodbye.